Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. If we could take our seats, and we'll get started. I just want to welcome you all back to day 2 or day 3 of Automotive Logistics Europe. I hope you all enjoyed the conference yesterday, and those of you who joined us at the gala dinner at the Steigenberger Hotel, I think you'll agree it was a fantastic evening. Really great presentation by Chris Bangles, looking at some perspectives on design and bringing motion back into that. I mean, it was so much we could draw from that. We won't do that here. I'm just going to cover a few boring housekeeping notes before I hand over to real experts in this field, looking at future automotive supply chain. Once again, I'm Christopher Ludwig, the editor of the publication. Just to remind you of a few things, for those of you who weren't here yesterday or for whom or who weren't able to log on, we have our Automotive Logistics Live. Well, actually, we can start further back. There's the Wi-Fi code for those who want to access the internet. And those of you tweeting or using social media, that is our hashtag AO Europe. Or you can use our live function. This is people can watch the conference live around the world. You can participate, you can put questions, comment on things, interact with each other. Again, this is how you do it. There's a QR code on the front of the program. There's a bit.ly link at the top. Or you can go to our website and go to the event tab, and there's a live button there. It's sponsored by Sovereign. You just need your email address to register and your delegate number, which is on your badge. Starts 148. So again, we're not going to do voting like we did yesterday, but it's a nice and interesting feature. And even if you leave the room for a minute or for a session and you want to keep up with things, you can also do it that way. A little bit more about the structure of the day. After this session, we are again splitting up into streams. And just to kind of establish where things will be, this room will be looking at finished vehicle logistics, specifically regulatory aspects. 6B, which is the suppliers supply chain, is across the room there in the far room. And then C, which is looking at sustainability, that's down the corridor to your right when you go out further back that way. So that's just where things will be. You'll notice we're split into round tables. That's for later. Right after lunch, we'll be back in here. You'll be in smaller groups talking kind of more privately on different subjects. They'll be highlighted on the table, and you'll have a chance to kind of talk out issues kind of amongst yourselves a little bit more offline. So now I'd like to introduce the moderator and compere of this session, Christoph Stürmer from PwC Autofacts.
Thank you very much, Christoph. So yesterday I was lamenting about the fact that there are 2 bad spots to have a presentation. I actually found a third one. The third one is the spot after an incredibly good presentation that I think we all thoroughly enjoyed yesterday night. So it is my pleasure to welcome you all this morning to the second day of the Automotive Logistics Conference and introduce to you a panel that has not a single freighter on it, which I think is quite extraordinary. So it is a panel of one client and a couple of, well, analysts, onlookers, outsiders to the industry. And I very much hope that we will all take the liberty of maybe asking the type of stupid question or the type of obnoxious idea that has not been issued up to now. And looking back at yesterday, I had a little bit the impression that we're really talking about sort of 2 different approaches. I felt that there's one part, there's one big stream, one big line of thought that goes towards data. Understanding logistics from a data perspective, from an IT infrastructure perspective, from a closing of the data world perspective. And then there's the other stream that's much more hardware oriented, optimizing speed, optimizing the use of assets, optimizing the productivity of people, helping them develop their careers. So in this dichotomy, I think it's very interesting to again refocus in this panel what is it that the clients actually want. And I hope from yesterday we all remember that the automotive industry is currently looking for a new role model. And I think yesterday evening we got an even livelier impression of what that means on the very product side to actually not know what is going to come next. So in this sense, I'm looking forward to a very lively discussion, and it's my great pleasure to introduce Carlos Lauert, who is really the personification of the globality of our business. I understand you're Spanish by nationality, you work in Germany for a Korean manufacturer, and I wish you a very good presentation.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you, Automotive Logistics. I'm very happy to be one year more here with you. Well, the first thing I would like to tell you is that in several weeks I will be 40 years old. You would say, why is that relevant? Well, it is relevant to me. I started kind of very intense exercise workouts several months ago. I got a healthier life. So my wife asked me, are you getting into a 40s crisis? Are you going to buy a Porsche now? And I said, no way, I only can drive Kias. So there is this, fortunately, my wife said, thanks God, I mean, you only can drive Kias. So, but the point is, I guess we all have younger cousins. So I have two younger cousins, and the type of them that they are modern and cool, and they study digital design and all of that. So in one of the family gatherings, I asked them, well, whenever you get a proper job, so like in supply chain, so you ask me and I will help you to get a car. And they tell me, why should I buy a car? I don't want to have a car. So the world stopped there, you know, for me. And the first thing I thought, there was two things I was thinking. The first of it is, I'm getting old. I'm already have a bridge. I'm not anymore, you know, that younger, younger type that I was thinking I was. So the second thing it is, I was in the wrong industry. I should be working for Google. So who's going to buy cars in the future? So how it is the disengagement from the current, let's say, executives, the current automotive business with the young society. How are going to be the customers in the future? Yesterday we were listening that there is a kind of uncertainty of what is going to be in the future for the automotive industry. So at the beginning, the cars, they just need to be, you know, mass production cars in order to reduce cost. Then we started to introduce technology. Then we started to see how we were getting closer to our customers. But for the future, what is next? So we need to get a very clear sense of what are the customers going to be in the future in order to adapt our products and our strategies in order to match, you know, both sides. So in Kia, basically, what I will talk today, it is not very long-term perspective on what is the customer trends is going to be in a lot of years. So I will not be talking about autonomous car, the Google cars, because that is, for us, is still pretty far away. I will talk about trends that they are already now in our society, that they are already happening in this moment of time. So for Kia, there is basically five big key market trends. The first of it is urban mobility. So basically cars are used to move from A to B. So basically we just need a transportation method. So if there is new ways of transporting people from one place to the other, we'll change the way that we are going to sell and we're going to buy cars as customers. The second is the customization and personalization. How is going to affect the new trends of people in trying to engage? Yesterday we were listening from Chris in the speech yesterday night about the engagement of the customers with their cars. If we are not able to engage the customers with the cars that they are buying, they just will not buy cars. Then how the demographics are changing. So what is the modern families? How it is the aging society, so the new seniors. There is a the society is getting older and older, so those type of customers, it is a big and important part for the automotive business. And then the green innovation, everything which is ecological, what is green, is already a must for us in order to look ahead. So I will go very, very briefly, one by one. So in terms of urban mobility, so the idea it is that I do not have to own a car. So I just want to use a car. So I just want to move from one place to the other. Why? Because first of all, the ownership cost, it is high. Second, 85% of the population is living in big cities. So I don't have a parking spot, and I will not be able to get to my job in a proper way if every day I have huge traffic jams. So I just want to use the car in certain moments. Whenever I need a car, I will use it. So I don't have to buy one. So in that sense, what it is now already a very established trend, it is the car sharing. So car sharing, a lot of companies, they are already entering in the car sharing business. So for example, PSA, Daimler, Toyota, Volkswagen, they already trying and experimenting with car sharing. Recently Ford introduced a system with their own dealers, called Ford to Go, in order to get the car sharing experience already in the dealership with the customers. And also there is some innovative ideas like Citroën being the first one of getting peer-to-peer, connection between the customers. So I have a car, I have my own car, and then I put it in a platform. I will not use it during the weekend, so someone else can rent me the car for those 2 days. I give the keys, they give me the money, they return it on Monday. So that is a new, let's say, innovative ways of thinking of how it's going to be. How important, how big it's going to be, will depend on how quickly the society changes. So at this moment of time, what manufacturers, what we're trying to do, it is we are experimenting. We are seeing how important is going to be for us this trend. Then a second one, easy to understand, is customization, personalization. So in fashion industry, it is very, very common to personalize your goods. So Nike or tailor-made clothes, it is very, very well established already in our current customers. But how is going to be in our customers? How is going to be in the cars? So we can see already that there is a lot of new trends in the automotive that they are trying to get this personalization. So you can see there a Mini with a British flag on top. I mean, you cannot see any one of those in Spain, you could imagine. The thing is that the people with the Opel Adam, with Fiat 500, which was one of the first, and with Citroën DS, they are trying to get and put in the car certain options in order to personalize. Of course, we have the restriction of the production. So for the supply chain and the manufacturers, it is a nightmare. So when the marketing guys, they said, well, we're going to launch a car which the customer will be able to personalize hugely. So we freak out because we say, how I'm going to now establish my supply chain? Because the complexity increases hugely. Now, instead of having a certain number of options, now I'm going to have millions of combinations. How we're going to get the right structure for the supply chain in order not to have the customer to wait 5 or 6 months for their car. But the customer is already demanding this, is demanding special body elements, is demanding music systems, technology. So the connectivity of the car is already key. The customers inside the car, the new generations, they are fully focused in Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitters, and they just cannot disconnect. If they are more than 1 hour not connected, they feel bad. So whenever they enter into the car, they get this tension, like, I need to drive now 1 hour, and I will be disconnected from my Twitter. And then you need to, in the car automotive, you need to insert certain elements in order to allow the customers to feel comfortable, to engage them. So then if you want, of course, respecting the traffic rules, etc. But if we can allow a high connectivity inside the cars, the customers are going to feel less disengaged and they're going to buy our cars. then how the modern families are changing. So, for example, I mean, there is a very clear role changing within the family. So, you know, I'm coming from a South European country where we are pretty traditional in the family understanding, okay? So now, you know, my wife does not allow me not to do exactly the same things that she does at home. And that didn't happen with the previous generation. So more and more, that means that the customers, they are changing in their way because they are asking for different things and they are asking for flexibility concepts. So I want to buy a car which allows me to have the right way of living my life with my family that I want. So I want to get easy into the car. I want to be and have flexible seats in order to get my kids in and out. I would like to go and have my bicycles, my skis inside the car whenever I go because I have a sporty life. So the cars, they are not a mean of transportation. It is part of your home. It is part of your current should allow you to have your life as you want to live it. And then what is the new seniors, what we call the new seniors? So in Western and European market, we have an aging society. So that means that seniors, it is an attractive and a growing target group. And we need to focus into them. So we need to see also what is appropriate for them. And people should think, well, then for seniors it's easy. We just need to make it easier for them in order, you know, inside the car. But not only that, because the new seniors customers, they want to get also technology, quality of life, indulgence. They want to be, you know, feeling good inside. And then there is a lot of trends about the comfort. So for all that demographic group of seniors, they just want to have a more comfort inside. They want to have comfort seats. They want to have comfort access to the technology. They want to be simple and easy, but also they want to have a nice and agreeable experience inside the car. So they would like to get, for example, you know, flexibility in the modularity of the seats. They would like to have an easy access. Why do I have to open the door and have a difficult access to the car? So we need to see all this in order to try to engage with this type of customers. And then the green innovation. So everything needs to be green. So we need to have lower consumption, lower CO2s. But the customer, if you ask a customer and you say, well, for the same price, you want to have a green car, of course they will say yes. But are you willing to pay a bit more in order to have a green car? And say, well, I'm not sure about it. Depends on the price. But the green car, it is not only just being green. It is a change in the consumer trends. The consumers, they need to feel proud of driving a green car. But also the green car needs to be easy. It needs to provide also some fun. So needs to be silence. So I'm inside the car. I'm driving an electric vehicle. And the car, it simply has no noise. So it has nothing to disturb me while I'm driving. So also the type of cars that we are looking, it is basically a different type of cars that it was before. The cities are getting more and more crowded, so we need smaller cars. So a lot of, almost all manufacturers, we are now experimenting hybrid engines, especially in the C segment, and also we are having in the D and F segments, you know, technologies introduced, especially for, as I said, hybrids and electric vehicles. So all of these, you know, makes the question how to link the needs of OEMs, manufacturers, with what it is going to be the supply chain. Because as clients, whenever we program, we engineer a certain supply chain structure, we really need that you, as our partners, you really understand what is our needs and you react as well. So there is a lot of discussions about what should be the trends, also the links between OEMs and supply chains providers, and basically it is not new because we have been discussing for several years, but things like sustainability. So what is the technologies, what the traceability of the car? So customers would like to know exactly, I get into a web platform, I would like to know that my car is moving from the factory, crossing Germany, it will arrive in 7 days to my country. So how the customers, they would like to have more information, like whenever you buy in Amazon, you want to know where the status of your purchase it is. Where is it exactly? Also, that is what we say, meeting the customer expectations, but also we expect as clients to have a certain service orientation. So we would like you to understand us better, so we can also, help each other in order to try to streamline the supply chain. And also we would like to segment the supply chain. That means having more, a better execution. So basically, in our company, we are doing projects to get more efficient in order to deliver processes. So optimization of stocks, having different levels in different countries, in different segments in order to maximize the efficiency of the whole stock management. And that is what we call this optimization of the supply chain. So basically, there is, I think now we are in a process after the crisis where all manufacturers, we just try to survive, to adapt to the crisis. But now that we are starting recovering from the crisis, now we are starting doing very, very quickly the same questions. How can we adapt to the way the customers are going to buy our cars in 5 and 10 years' time? And that's the question that we are working every day to solve. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please note your questions. If you have any questions that you want to post online, please don't hesitate. We will also put them forward here. In the interest of time, I will just not get up. It's my pleasure to introduce Stefan Dykes to you, the Research and Innovation Director of CLEPA. CLEPA is a little bit like to the automotive suppliers what the ECG is to the freighters. So welcome, Stefan. We're looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you very much, Christoph. Good morning, everybody. I have to disappoint you. I'm not talking a lot about logistics, but I'd like to give you the view of the supplier industry on what the future will bring and have for us and how we have to adapt to meet the future societal challenges as well as stay competitive. So let's try this. We'll start with a brief introduction, explain a little bit what CLEPA is for those of you who don't know CLEPA yet. And then I will talk about our key innovation areas, and then I will talk a little bit about automated driving and how we see automated driving. And thanks to Chris, yesterday it was already nicely introduced, so I think we can follow up from there. So CLEPA is actually a pretty old association, founded in 1959 in Brussels. We're representing 110 corporate members for suppliers for car parts, modules, and systems. We represent as well 25 national trade and sector associations in Europe, with in total about 3,000 companies with 5 million employees and a turnover of 600 billion euro sales. We are official partner to the EU and the United Nations. And what we do is we do the institutional representation of the industry, and we define a harmonized regulatory framework for innovation, and we provide international business support. And we help with access to finance, and Horizon 2020, the big European framework program for innovation, is of course one of the issues we're dealing with, and the European Investment Banking Fund. So the challenges were nicely introduced already by my previous speaker, and of course mobility needs. We will still have the need for transporting people and goods, but maybe we will have to do it in a more efficient and cleaner way in the future. We will still have safety and security issues we have to take care of, and urbanization and urban sprawl is something we should remember when we look into the future trends. Demographic changes, so we are all getting older, and as the previous speaker already introduced, that will of course somehow govern the way that we see mobility and transport. And global competitiveness is something we are as well, we have to take care of. And we think that with strategic innovation, we can at least tackle those challenges. That's the reason why CLEPA formulated the key innovation areas, and you will see them here. So starting from the left, with safety, decarbonization, ITS, intelligent transport system, lightweight material and design, manufacturing and competitiveness, and a fairly new one is automated driving, so addressing automated driving. So in each of these key innovation areas that you see here, we bring together the experts from the companies, from the supply industry, and we formulate roadmaps how to overcome hurdles, how we can overcome barriers, and start the innovation process. And today I would like to talk a little bit of what we are doing in automated driving and what the hurdles are there. Automated driving is essentially, yeah, it was recently very much in the media because of this car. Yes. Car. Yes, car. But actually it's a quite not so recent story. This car actually is 20 years ago. It's the Night Industry 2000. Very nice. The difference between these two cars is that the one on the left is actually having a steering wheel, the one on the right not. And another very interesting thing you might recall, when Michael Knight is getting into his car, he was always driving himself, so he enjoyed actually driving. And I will come to this later as well. So why automated driving? What are the reasons for automated driving? And obviously safety is one of the key issues here. Still 90% of all accidents are caused by human errors. And we think that automated driving might be a possible way to target those accidents and reduce the number of fatalities and accidents in transport. Efficiency. Yeah, the whole transport system can be much more efficient if we introduce some automated driving strategies. And that is, of course, a reason for this. And comfort. Well, I admit it, I like driving. No, I really love driving. I'm enthusiastic about driving. But sometimes, for example, when I'm stuck in a traffic jam, well, I'm not so fond of driving. So, and for such situation, it would be great to have actually an assistant, a system taking care of driving when I'm not up to drive, when I'm not fit for driving, when I don't want to drive. So what is the state of the art here in technologies? Of course, everybody of you heard about the adaptive cruise control and how that works. It's just a small video illustrating how that is working. Combining the environmental sensing system, the sensors detect that there is a vehicle ahead and adapts automatically the speed to the vehicle in front. What is interesting is that this is working as well. So you see the vehicle is cutting, and then the vehicle is actually braking, adapting the speed. So you see here the parts which are responsible for this braking system, the sensing system, and is adapting the speed. Another technology which is, of course, relevant here in terms of state of the art is the lane keeping assistance system. So the sensing system is actually sensing the line the car is going and is keeping the vehicle on track. And that is working with, you could either have a lane departure warning, so giving you a warning signal if you're going off track, or it works with an actual steering maneuver. So your lane keeping assistant is keeping the vehicle in the lane. If there is actually a lane change intended by the driver, then of course the systems accept this. Another technology which is relevant here is the traffic sign recognition. That is, of course, very relevant as the system informing the driver of what is the actually speed limits, where the driver is going, and what are the traffic rules. And another very important system is the automated emergency braking system. It's actually detecting, the system detects that a vehicle in front is standing there, and maybe the driver was distracted and didn't realize it, and then it's actually the system is stopping the car right in front of the vehicle. So, and that is another very interesting part, is the traffic jam assistance system. How the driver is getting into a traffic jam, and as I explained before, that might be quite annoying for if you drive, if you're stuck in a traffic jam, and then you can give over the control to the system and deal with other things, maybe on your smartphone, maybe texting, and slowly the system is driving you through that traffic jam. Yes. So, what is automated driving? And if you might realize that I was not talking about autonomous vehicles intentionally. I think automated driving is something which is gradually evolving towards maybe in a far future autonomous vehicle. But currently we see this as an evolutionary step. So in automated driving you have the levels, level 1, 2, 3, and 4. And fully automated driving, the autonomous vehicle would be level 5. So what we see is a gradual evolvement from level 2, which is actually current technologies in the market are level 2. And the next step would be level 3. And for that level 3, I think there are great benefits that we can get from level 3, but for this we need to overcome the current regulations at UNEC and in the interpretation of the national traffic codes. So what are the key challenges which we have to address within our research and innovation roadmap? And I tried to depict some of them here. The environmental perception and detection, the reliability of our sensing system, they need to be improved dramatically. The driver attendance and involvement of how the driver is interacting with the system. When is the driver informed that he has to take over control again back? That are key questions. The common validation model, testing requirements. How are these things tested, certified? How can they implement it into the market, into the system, into the vehicle? And we need to answer the question, what's the role of the road infrastructure? What is connectivity playing in the game of automated driving? What is connectivity adding there as additional information? And these are the 3 critical questions for us. And I think user acceptance. If nobody is buying automated vehicles or automated driving functionalities, why bother? So these things will not be in the market, in the vehicle, if nobody wants to have them. We need to demonstrate the reliability and the robustness. So this is really key. And of course, the regulatory framework, which you might have heard about the Vienna Convention, which is currently amended, so that there will be a change. We're not yet sure if this is going far enough. Certainly not for level 5, but maybe for level 3. So there will be, in the future, some change, some movement in terms of automated driving. So I think I made up some time, and I would like to emphasize the key position for the automotive supply industry in terms of automated driving as providers of the essential parts for automated driving. And I would like to end here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That was not only just in sequence, this was also completely in time. Thank you very much for that. I'm now glad to introduce our next speaker, Marco Freund of the Fraunhofer Institute. Fraunhofer Institute, for some of you, and you may say another word about it, is one of the most respected institutions in Germany that sort of bridges the gap between academic research and the actual application of technologies. There's a host of Fraunhofer Institutes, highly specialized, and I cannot repeat enough, highly respected for the work that they do for advancing technologies and innovation for all kinds of industries. Stefan, Marco, very much looking forward to your presentation.
Yes, thank you for inviting me, and I'm happy to be here. It was a beautiful evening yesterday, and first of all I want to introduce myself. So my name is Marco Freund. I'm responsible for the OpenID Center. This is one of our biggest research labs at the Fraunhofer IML. We're located in Dortmund, and what we do is applied research related to logistics. So Fraunhofer has 66 institutes in Germany, and one of every institute is focused on a special technology, on a special field, and we're making logistics there. Me in special, I'm working in automating industries, like everything what has to do with auto ID, like barcodes, RFID, and such stuff. And we also are interested in sensor solutions and looking what technologies are on the market and how we can use them for logistics. So today I want to talk about three main areas of the Internet of Things. So we see three main parts, that the intelligent objects, smart transportation systems, and the human-machine interaction, like those Google Glasses and so on. So I think I can talk about all these technologies maybe 1 hour and all the solutions. So I maybe give you a short overview about some interesting projects. I will talk a little bit longer. So maybe let's start here. So what we have got a technology on demand lab. So we are able to build hardware. We're able to produce with a 3D printer, and so build completely products by ourselves. This we have got since 3 years, and here you see on the slide some solutions. So we started the whole development with this intelligent objects, started with the InBin, the intelligent Behälter in German, so intelligent box. Everything what you put in there, you can communicate with this bin, with your environment. So here you see this InBin in the middle. You can put it also in a bigger vehicle, and here you see what's in there. So we have a solar panel for the power supply. We have a communication chip. The process logic is integrated there, and you can communicate with your environment and tell your system what is in there. Here you see the parts better. The whole idea was to have this, to have the whole power by energy harvesting, so with the solar panel. But this was just a starting point. It's not on the market in this way. This was for us a beginning to start the development of other solutions. For example, we work together with the company Word in a technology on demand lab, and try to develop for them, together with them, intelligent solutions. So you see what you see here. It's a typical bin, and what is special for this bin? You see, you see a camera directly at the top. So it's a small module with a battery in there, and what the camera is doing is just looking inside and sending pictures with not such a high solution, because you can't transfer 4K or full HD pictures easily with less energy. And then you get these pictures from the parts inside there, And of course, when you have the bin is completely full with stuff, you can't count. But when there are just 3 or 4 left, then you can't count the number of the items which are in there. And this is enough for making the process of refilling automatically. So when you count it on the server side, you know how many parts are in there, and then you can send a signal, okay, now it's empty, you have to bring a new one. This is, for example, one solution in this development. Then we also have this scenario, Smart Kanban. I think everybody of you knows this Kanban systems, and what we're trying to develop is for a shelf, an intelligent Kanban system. This we developed together with the company De Brunner Assifair in Switzerland. So the idea was just to make it completely without energy and without manual processes. So you have this intelligent shelf label you see at the top. You just bring it to your shelf, and when your box is empty, you take a part out, and you just push a button directly at the top of the label, and you send a signal to the web shop of the company, and they can directly make everything in the background automatically, and send new material to the customer. So this is the idea of this development. When we come to transport systems, we have there some solutions that are also interesting for the automotive sector. For example, since 2009 we have built this multi-shuttle. I think it's quite famous, and a lot of companies have this for the small boxes. Then we developed this multi-shuttle move. This is completely autonomously driving, but you can do it in logistics, not on the street at the moment. So this works quite well. Then we also have a locative. This is a low-cost vehicle, and new innovation is the rack racer. But I will present those stuff to you now. Let's start with cellular transport systems. This is how a typical material flow systems look nowadays. And what we try to think about is how can we make this more flexible? And because these solutions are expensive, limited, and unflexible. And my boss, Professor Ten Hompel, always says the ideal logistic room is empty. And so this is how we like to have it. So everything you see in between those between the shelf and the position where the vehicles go is completely empty. And so the cars there communicate with each other and drive there. I think actually they are driving 40 cars, and they completely full with sensors and try to communicate. They find their way, and so it works autonomously. This is a picture of how it works. So I think this was 30 vehicles running, and this completely without problems. There you see the communication between those vehicles. Then this, but I have to say that those vehicles are of course quite expensive, because the sensors that are integrated, they are are not that cheap, and we also look for other solutions. Here you see the locative. We developed it together with the company Bito, and the idea was one of those vehicles should cost under 1,000 euros. So, so when it's that cheap, there's not so many sensors in it, and it just follows a line on the floor. But for us it's enough, because when you just have an easy transportation way with a line, you can. It's quite flexible and easy to use. And what's quite special, you can, when the vehicle is driving, you can stand directly in front of the vehicle, and you won't hurt. With the other vehicles, when they won't stop, you will get hurt. Then the rack racer is an innovation we presented last year on the Logimat. The idea here was when you say the shortest way in logistics is the best way. So when I would go to this table over there, I would walk directly to the table and not walk around in this direction, then turn left and go back. So I would think about taking the direct way because it's the cheapest way and yeah, the closest way. So what the vehicle does is not driving along one level, taking an elevator and go up. This one has flexible axes, can put them vertical and climb directly in the rack. So this system is quite interesting because it's scalable and you can use more of them in one shelf. You just don't have to buy this completely expensive multi-shuttle system. You just can buy the shelf infrastructure and then buy some vehicles and put them in like the workload is. So when there's a high workload, you just put 3 or 4 of them inside, or when you don't have so much workload, you can leave it empty or just put one in there. So yesterday the 3D printing was quite interesting, so I talked about, with some interesting people about 3D printing. And what we have done here in our Technology on Demand lab, everything what's white here in this rack racer is printed with 3D, completely at our institute. So the one you have seen on this video is completely out of metal, but we tried to develop it completely out of nylon and this P12 laser sinter stuff. And then, of course, I'm not sure if you can see it, the power lines of the vehicle, you can construct for a prototype directly where the force gets to the axis and not just use standard parts. You just can construct it there where the force goes on the axis, and this is quite interesting for us. Now I would like to explain you a different thing. So we're talking about multicopters or drones like you want to, and we have seen that there's a lot of potential for this technology in logistics, not the transport like DHL or Amazon does it. So our idea was to make an inventory with autonomous flight drones, because we see a lot of potential in it for solutions in and outdoor. We also can integrate those copters in the intralogistics directly to the systems, and can use different auto ID technologies like RFID, barcode, OCR or picture detections. Can send the data in the cloud and make this complete thing, this cyber-physical object, intelligent. Yeah, how does it work? So I brought you 2 small videos how you can see what's our vision of this. So we tried to think that the copter can fly through a shelf completely autonomously and detects everything what's in there. For example, with RFID. This project starts at the beginning of 2014, and we now have, I think, 18 months left to develop the solution. Here you see a shelf in the OpenID Center, and this is a camera directly out of the copter, which is looking at all these barcodes and RFID tags which are on this on the pallets and everything else. And then you can detect them and send them directly to the cloud. What here is quite hard to develop is the autonomous flight, because when we're talking about cars, you are located on the floor. Here we have an extra coordinate, so we have not just the X and Y, we have also the Z coordinate with us. And so it's not so easy, and we developed there together with the University of Bonn, that are quite famous for robotics, this autonomous flight. And my focus is the development of the RFID technology, which is working in the copter. All the motors have all electromagnetic fields, and how are they compatible with RFID? These are questions we actually dealing with. And then, for example, with GLTs, I'm talking to Automotive here, We won with this technology a prize of VW, were the nominated supplier because they saw the potential for this technology. And yeah, we're thinking about to detect GLTs in shelves also for automotives. Because the normal inventory is quite expensive and takes a long time. Here you can fly when you want between yeah, when the work breaks or when you want to, or at night. Yeah, I'm coming now to an end, so to the end of the presentation. So I will shortly go over the next slides. We're also talking about human-machine interaction with Google Glasses and other objects. So here you see a coaster, a kind of iPad, a kind of iPhone you can control your logistics with. Here you see a glass application. Here's a logistics mall which is working together with the Google Glass. You can see all the information there. Yeah, so my time is running out, so I'm finished. And thank you for your attention. And maybe you have questions later on. So thank you very much. And
Marco, thank you very, very much. Indeed, I would not only have you had talk longer, but I would love to see more of these spectacular technologies. I think this is really a glance into a future that I can only imagine in science fiction movies so far. But wow! Now it's my special pleasure to introduce Peter Fuß, Senior Automotive Partner at one of our core competitors, Ernst & Young. Our paths cross very regularly, and I'm very, very curious to hear your presentation now, Peter. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Many thanks for the nice introduction, Christoph, and we see each other many times. For me, it's a great pleasure to talk to you today, as I'm actually from Bonn. It's my home country, home city, and not talking about politics, but about automotive logistics is always nice, better than talking to all the politicians, where we have grown up here in this small city. You have raised many times the question yesterday, last night, what is the future of the automotive industry? How should it look like? And I always keep saying, who is the owner of the mobility customer of the future? And I have brought my best friend with me, my current friend, my friend Buddy, to explain this a little bit more in more detail. Buddy is a concept car the company Rinspeed, EY, and some other partners have just released to the Frankfurt Motor Show. And let us listen to Buddy what he is telling us.
Our life, the environment, and technologies are changing faster than ever. We all need to adapt. We all need to set new horizons and visions. Cars of tomorrow are fully connected and automated. They become an integral part of the environment. They respect all traffic participants. They will be safe and they will be green. Routines are handled swiftly and easily. Men and machine are one. Our personal tastes and preferences are known. Innovative technology is securely reaching out to us. Portable devices are seamlessly integrated. Self-driving will be more joyful as the car supports us with all its senses. Drivers are released from daily activities and gain time to work or to entertain themselves. Dangerous traffic situations are reduced, and this increases our safety. The fusion of sensors provides additional protection at all times. Connectivity also means comfort. Mobility will change. So will we. We are facing the challenge today.
That's real. So that's the reality. That's the future of automotive and mobility concepts. And mobility will change, so we have to change. But what are these changes? When we are handing over the steering wheel to the machine. We have heard this morning a couple of times there are certain legal issues, warranty issues. Put this aside. The true challenge will be our new defined relationship, human and machine, where we have taken care 129 years for the machine, cleaning, pampering. You can still see it on the weekends. We sometimes do it ourselves. We are handing over the steering, the responsibility to a machine. So how much failure do we allow a machine going forward? We are still responsible for that accidents are happening on the street, that people get killed on the street. So how much failure tolerance do we allow the machine? And it's always discussed, and I think also on the bodies in Brussels, there could be zero, must be zero tolerance. But that is something which has a significant impact on our new way of thinking, how we get closer to the machine, and how do we accept that the machine is taking over through connectivity, automated driving. And we have heard it already. There are joyful driving situations, driving here around the river of Rhine into the Alps on a nice highway, but there are non-joyful situations driving in the traffic jam. Why should we drive ourselves still? So as long as we do this on an optional basis and allow the driver to decide whether he wants to be driven by a robotic or not, and this shows many studies globally, the customer, the mobility customer, is going to accept. So there's a huge change going on in connection with these new concepts. There will be more and more electronics and mechanical parts in the car going forward. There will be new players coming to this. And we have seen a lot of mega acquisitions across the automotive industry, supply industry over the last couple of years. Just recently, that a company like ZF is going to acquire TRW to combine the mechanical expertise with the electronic expertise to become a stronger system player and not just rely the next 50 years just on mechanics. As this is going very, very fast, there are also players coming into the car, like the smartphone industry, which we have not seen before. And what does this mean for us? So is the smartphone industry and other players are taken over? And there's a lot of debates going on how this could shake the automotive industry and the supply chain. When we are looking just on margins, the automotive industry is producing, and even the top players, these margins are much lower than some of the big players in Silicon Valley can produce. So from an economic standpoint, they probably will never become a car producer, but they want to be in the car once the driver is not doing any work any longer. Sitting in the car, can sleep, read, but probably more interested being connected, searching things, purchasing things. So and that is the business these internet companies are in, and shaking the automotive industry to get into the car and get the hands on the mobility customer of the future and make his or her life better. The other development we see that new players are coming into the car which have never been considering to be inside the car, like a company of KUKA, who are producing robotics for certain applications to produce a car, but maybe never considering to get into the car. Now getting into the car, whether this is just a showcase or whether this should be on a continuous basis, in the transformation to fully automated driving, where you can still choose and select, should I drive, my neighbor drive, or should I put the steering wheel below the dashboard? New business models, new concepts in the whole supply chain will evolve from these developments and giving huge opportunity for existing players, increasing their own portfolio of services and products, and having other players from other industries coming into the car. What does this overall mean for the global automotive industry? The new mindset will be to improve customer value. And you see it on the picture, and that is part of Wadi. We have always experienced the situations being in the car, in the traffic jam, wanted to have something to eat, some gum. So why not including that like this picture shown? But it demonstrates much more. We need to understand in the automotive industry much better the customer, the mobility customer of the future. What is he or she expecting from us? I'll give you one example. Other industries, and that is one of the topics raised for this panel, listening to other industries. I have grown up, and when I look into the room, many of you may have grown up with the White Beatles album as a vinyl. When you opened the vinyl, the album, you saw the nice black and white pictures of the Beatles. You could put it on your wall. You put the vinyl on the player. You listen to Let It Be, whatever. Fantastic. Then we got the CD, and today we have the same music you can download via iTunes. Those who have built their business on the product only, the vinyl producer run out of business. There may be still producers on the globe. I'm still buying old vinyls, but that's a different story. But those who understand the development from a product orientation to a user orientation to the customer, they are now in the business. It's still the same music, but it's a totally different distribution. And that can happen and will happen to the automotive industry, and you will see. And when you go through the internet, on the home pages of most of car manufacturers, you can already see It's no longer just the ultimate goal to become a premium car manufacturer, for example, offering the best hardware, but also to become the best mobility service provider. So the move from product orientation to service industry, that's the key message and the key development, not just for the car manufacturer, many suppliers, and therefore the whole supply chain, including the logistics industry, will be impacted. And just think about fully automated cars, no combustion engine, no regular transmission, been produced by a 3D printer, how this will shake the complete industry. And if this car is taken over as our best buddy, you can ask buddy in the morning, get me to the office, until lunch, go shopping in the supermarket, XYZ, bring it home, or the car itself repairs itself, goes to a station, replacing the battery or whatever. This is a little bit out of the box thinking, a little bit shaky, I know, but if you're not shaky enough, not visionary enough, we may not be relevant any longer to this growth industry. Many thanks for your attention.
I hope I didn't promise too much. So, in the interest of time, I would like to kick off the round of questions with one single question to each of the panelists. And each one has one shot to answer. Will the first commercially available autonomous vehicle be a car or a delivery truck? Everyone has one shot at the answer.
Well, in my opinion, I think there is more usages for a delivery truck, because nowadays the main issue for autonomous driving, it is making it profitable. So basically the cost and the technology inside, it is so high that the private usage, probably a private customer at this point of time, we don't think it is willing to pay the amount of money that would be necessary to cover the cost. So we think industry, like the examples that we were listening today, will be a bit more realistic at this point of time.
I agree. I think a delivery truck will be the first application. There was shown, I think, by VW a study on a truck which is actually running completely autonomous below 10 kph, so agreeing with the current regulations and following the person normally driving, and he just gets out the packages and delivers it to the customers and the houses. Yes.
Marco?
I think it will be a vehicle for logistical use on the area of the supplier or on the work field at the company, not on the streets, because there are too many law issues at the moment to cross a street or something like that. I think the first of all, you will transport in your work area.
I believe similarly what we see with the EVs, which are primarily been entering the market through fleet business, that automated vehicles will be also more coming through the commercial piece, as it may be easier to get all the applications than by private users.
Thank you very much. So, are you ready for that? And do you have any questions to the panelists at this point in time? There's a question in the middle.
Question to Marco. My name is Stefan Freichel from Cologne University. Marco, you talked about autonomous driving systems, swarm intelligence. Now, not looking only into the logistics hubs, but also more a bit into to the production and the inbound. There's research going on to connect swarm intelligence to supply productions, because production, traditional JIT-driven production comes to a limitation today, as supermarkets overflow, complexity of parts just drive that. So people are looking into different solutions to differently supply the lines. And there's research going on, I believe, in Stuttgart, München, Karlsruhe, on using swarm intelligence to supply production, to have a totally different way of setting up the supply chain. And this would revolutionize inbound supply chain, and many of the activities, also LSPs are involved. So what are you guys doing in this area? How do you see the development?
I think first of all, it's important that you develop the technology, and when everything's working like it is, I think when you're talking about this, you know how hard it is to first of all to run 2 vehicles, and after this 3 and up to 40, because algorithm has to work for a huge amount of vehicles. And when this is once finished, you can use it everywhere in the production or in the logistical area where it's necessary. And we also make this, this experiences in this field, and try to generate new ideas with on the basis of these experiences for new fields.
Thank you. Sometimes when I'm stuck in normal urban traffic, I feel part of a big swarm, but I don't know if there's intelligence in that swarm that I'm a part of. Any other questions? I think we're all craving coffee. Thank you. Oh, there's one at the back.
Yes, I was speaking with a technology company recently, and they have deployed a system that actually is implanted in the automobile that captures the break-in events and suspension events of an automobile and transmits that information to receivers on the street. Those receivers in turn transmit that information to the city road service. So the city road service looks at incidents of high break-in within the traffic and actually high bumps. And at that point, they send a road crew out to fix the street for potholes. So in this case, this company has changed the purpose of the automobile from a vehicle to move people from point A to point B to a tool to capture data. Is there any movements within the automotive industry to use the car or the vehicle for a secondary purpose, such as that?
Well, I just can say that there is already some technologies in certain cars that you know, Fiat has one that they developed some years ago, that you can for example, save all the central unit of the car into a USB stick, and then you can download that information, so you can analyze what is your driving patterns. For example, you can analyze how much brakes you take, what is your velocity, what is your CO2 consumption, and there is in certain cases, for example in UK, if you can prove that you have a certain type of driving, the insurance company, they apply certain reductions on the fees that you're paying for insurance. So for example, whenever having an insurance to a young guy of 18, 20, 22 years old, you can prove that his driving style has a certain pattern, so you can have some savings. So in these cases, this transfer of information is already possible. What it is not so advanced as transferring the data, you know, exactly on real time to certain receivers outside. From Bluetooth already with our mobiles, we can see that you pass through a shop and then you get a sign that, okay, there is a certain rebate on that shop. So if the technology is still there, there is not so much now appliances nowadays, but wouldn't be complicated to have the infotainment services connected to Bluetooth services in order to have the interaction. The only thing is that in order to do this civil servants, let's say, infrastructure, in order to see, you need to do at first quite a lot of investment and see the benefits and what you want to achieve with that. But it is not a technology that it is totally out of mind. So in a very near future, we will be seeing more and more applications on that side.
Yes, I can confirm this. This is From the technology side, from sensing, etc., this is absolutely feasible and possible to get the data and feed that back to the road authorities and give them valuable information about the condition not only of the infrastructure but the whole transport system and the functioning and the traffic management information. And these probe vehicle concepts are certainly developed. There is, of course, a problem with the business model, because the actual beneficiaries of such systems are the users of the transport systems, but I'm not 100% sure that a business model or the willingness to pay would be accepted by all the users. So there is quite some work to do in terms of setting up the business model, setting up the information change and getting all stakeholders on board and at the end of the day get the users as well involved in that model, because there are some privacy and security issues which needs to be addressed in this respect.
Thank you very much. Any more hands? Okay. Hope I'm not missing anybody. So, thank you very, very much, dear panelists. This was hugely interesting and a big leap into a future that I hope we will all manage together very successfully. We now go out for a short coffee break and we'll resume in the different rooms for the individual sessions. Thank you all very much.